I'm Dave Statter of Statter911.com. We're here today at the quarters of Engine 16, Tower 3 of the DC Fire and EMS Department. Firehouse.com is shooting a public service announcement to help ensure that every firefighter wears a seatbelt. It's part of the National Fire Service Seatbelt Pledge. One of those people here today is the Chief of Montgomery County, Maryland's Fire and Rescue Service, Tom Carr.
What is the fire chief's role in ensuring seatbelt compliance?
The fire chief has to set the culture of safety and assure that everybody knows what that expectation is and understands that there's consequences for failure to comply with the safety culture and assures that everyone understands the expectations.
Do you wear your seatbelt?
Absolutely, 100% of the time.
Did you when you started in the fire service?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What do you say to the younger people who say, back when you started, they rode the back step, they didn't wear their seatbelts? What do you say to these younger firefighters?
Well, look at all the firefighters who died as a result of, and certainly our understanding of a safe environment and the equipment available, the technology available to take care of our firefighters is so much greater than it ever was, and we need to take advantage of that.
What do you say to other fire chiefs about the importance of the National Fire Service Seatbelt Pledge?
Well, it's critical. The pledge provides leadership and really puts a statement out there that shows everyone that this is a universal concern, and the ability to focus on seatbelts is critical, especially for those who aren't complying. They need to see that their fellow peers across the country are concerned and focused on this issue.
You had a recent wreck where you believe that seatbelts had an impact.
In contrast to a wreck 30 years ago where we lost a firefighter in the back of a medic unit. When the door came open, he was unbelted and he was crushed by the unit. This wreck in icy conditions, ambulance into the back of a school bus. Attendant was belted, no injury. Able to continue care of the patient and damage to the unit, but no injury to anyone.
You discipline employees for being late for a variety of other things. Do you and should you discipline employees who don't wear their seatbelt?
We absolutely do discipline employees for not wearing their seatbelt, as well as we discipline the officer in charge.
And what's the thought about that with the officer in charge?
The officer is responsible for the crew, and the officer is responsible to set the tone and the proper expectation that we adhere to safety regulations. So if we catch someone not wearing their seatbelt, the officer is disciplined as well as the person not wearing their belt.
Is there a connection between failure to wear seatbelts and other safety issues in the fire service?
Absolutely. I believe that failure to wear seatbelts is indicative of other safety concerns on the scene of the fire ground, on the scene of an EMS call. This is the most basic safety tenet there is in the fire service.
You've been around for a long time. You've heard a lot of excuses, I'm sure, for a variety of infractions. Is there any excuse for not wearing a seatbelt?
There is no excuse. And it doesn't matter whether it's a box alarm with babies hanging out of windows. You need to be ready, get dressed, get seated, get belted, and then get going.
Do you see the National Fire Service Seatbelt Pledge making a difference in the fire service? Have you seen that?
I think so. I think the focus that it brings is really helping assure that people get it.
Anything else that you've done or can think of, or any other message that you have for firefighters out there about seatbelt usage?
Well, I think most importantly as leaders of organizations, it's setting the tone and continuing that message, not just saying, here's a policy that says you'll wear seatbelts, but following up and rewarding and acknowledging good behavior. When you have a collision and you find that everyone was belted, as we always do, I think now, make sure that you bring that to folks' attention, that the fact that they were belted, in fact, when we had this collision with the ambulance a couple of weeks ago, we put out an email to the entire organization stating, look what happened. Patient attendant wearing their seatbelt in a collision, uninjured.
It's a pretty simple message. Wear your seatbelt all the time, but it's a message that still gets ignored.
Absolutely, and you know, it's a shame because what we see happening is, in some cases, people think because it's a full assignment building fire that they need to focus on that and speed and not on their belts. And in our organization, we've worked hard to turn that around and say you absolutely 100% of the time need to wear your belt, even more so when it's a full assignment building fire. But of course, every time you go out, you've got to be belted.